Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our Learn at Lunch programming, Life After Work, presented by UCLA Emeriti Retirees Relations Center. We're very excited to have you join us, and we appreciate your time. I would like to share that UCLA Staff Assembly has our board nominations are open, and we are also we have our scholarship award nominations open as well. And if you use the QR code, you can sign up and nominate a colleague for a board position through UCLA Staff Assembly. And if you're interested in applying for a scholarship or an award through UCLA Staff Assembly, please use the QR code and go ahead and sign up. It is my pleasure to introduce Ayesha Dixon, the director of the UCLA Retirees Center. Thank you so much, Ayesha, for your time. Go ahead.
Great, thank you for having us. As mentioned, my name is Ayesha Dixon. I am at the UCLA Emeriti Retirees Relations Center, and I'm so glad you all came to see us this afternoon. I hope this is going to be an engaging and informative session. I'd like it to be kind of a dialogue, so we'll be able to answer questions in the chat. I do have my two colleagues on as well, Maria Lubrano and Lam Liu, who are retiree resource specialists. We're a small but mighty team of three, and we help facilitate and do information sessions and workshops for pre-retirement and campus engagement post-retirement. Hopefully everyone can see my screen okay, and I'll just keep on going through. Perfect. So as I mentioned, we are the ERRC. We serve retired faculty and staff through advocacy, education, and personalized resources. We are located in Rolfe Hall, just next to Gender Studies. We are part of the Chancellor's Office, and our goal is to advocate and support all retired UCLA faculty and staff through this interconnected space to continue the pursuit of the university's mission on education, research, and service. We have a variety of programs and services to help support you along this journey so you're able to stay involved and participate in the many campus and community initiatives that we have. We are recording this session. I will send out my slides post workshop, and we do have some QR codes and websites throughout the presentation, and also some guest speakers as well that we'll introduce you to a little bit later. So a little bit of history about us. So we began back in 1969 by Chancellor Charles Young at the request of a group of faculty. They wanted to have this liaison on campus to be recognized between academic personnel. We wanted to make sure that our retired faculty retained the interest of the university and continue to offer assistance, involvement, research, and services to retired faculty. Back in 1978, we started extending our services to retired staff to support all staff everywhere from dining services, landscaping, housing, hospitality, up to vice chancellors. We were later renamed the ERRC, which is a mouthful, but it is the Emeriti Retiree Relations Center. So as I mentioned, we are a part of the Chancellor's organization. I report directly to Michael Levine, and currently we have over 18,000 retired faculty and staff. We are one of the largest retirement centers on throughout the UC system, slightly above UC Davis, right behind Berkeley, and ahead of UC Irvine. As I mentioned, includes myself, Maria Lubrano is on the left there, and Lam Liu is on the right. We are working in a flex work hybrid situation, so feel free to stop by our office or give us a heads up before you come by, but we are fully staffed 5 days a week. As I mentioned before, we're a small team of three, so just be mindful if you're coming by to give us a heads up so that if we're on our lunch or our break, we can accommodate you visiting to our office. So as I mentioned, our goal is to be your liaison post-retirement and to provide this comprehensive approach to retirement. We connect retired Bruins to resources that focus on wellness, economic stability. We work a lot with Fidelity, relationship building amongst retirees and the campus, various workshops for personal growth, volunteer efforts for social responsibility and civic engagement. And we're also the umbrella organization for two organizations. One is the retired faculty, known as Emeriti Association. Their website's on the screen, and the UCLA Retirees Association. And just a little thing that we like to say, because it's very important to us, we were the first Emeriti Center within the UC system and one of the first ones within the nation. As I mentioned, we do have, hang on, make sure I have my right slides. As I mentioned, we also do have some special guests here, so I will introduce them in just a moment. But just to give you an idea of what a retiree is and what Emeriti is. So in the greater scheme of all things, everyone is a retiree, faculty or staff. But as you may know in UC Path, we all have various job codes and descriptions. So when we're thinking of what an Emeriti is, it's usually Senate faculty, professors, acting professors, vice chancellors, assistant professors, the university librarian, various levels of lecturers, and those who are professor of clinical medicine in the medical school. When it comes to retirees, this is probably the bulk of us here. Administrative folks, hospitality, visiting professors, adjunct, landscaping, depending on your job code, managers, directors, project analysts. So there is some sort of separation between a retired faculty member, Emeriti, and a retired staff member as a retiree. But we all still, as I mentioned, all Emeriti are retirees, but not all retirees are Emeriti. It could be a little confusing, but it definitely goes with what the benefits that are eligible to those who retire. Retirees with certain levels of years of service definitely get more benefits than those who do not have quite as many years, whereas retired professors get a lot more benefits when it comes to their retirement life. As I mentioned, we have our special guests, and I will have them give a little bit of their history. First, we have Elaine Fox, who is our Retiree Association president. And then I will have Sue Abeles talk. She is the former president of the Retirees Association. And then last, but definitely not least, Al Aubin is a board member for the Retirees Association. So I will turn it over to Elaine to tell us a little bit about your history at UCLA and how and why you're still engaged with the campus.
Hi, everyone. I began at UCLA in 1994 as a temp. I walked into the HR office. I had gotten some written communications that I had been considered for a position. Didn't happen. So I walked into HR and I said, what do you have to do to get a job on campus? Being very flip, which is very unlike me once you get to know me. Anyway, they said, start as a temp. You'll need to take a typing test. And at that time, it was Lotus, not Excel. And it was WordPerfect, not Word. I went home on the way. I stopped at a stationery store. I got the cheat sheet that we used to put on our keyboards. And I practiced for the weekend. Long story short, I became a temp at Anderson School. And I worked there for 14 years as in the finance area. And I retired in 2007. A month after I retired, my husband, who worked at JPL, also decided he was going to retire because I had planned all these wonderful things prior to retirement. And I think Carrie was afraid that he was going to miss out. We traveled. We spent a lot of time with our grandchildren. 2 lived locally, 4 lived out of the area. We had an amazing time. In our leisure time, the best was not getting up to an alarm clock, but we filled our time being active in the community. And also a few years after retirement, I met some people that I had known at UCLA, and they said, you know, you really should get involved on campus. Lo and behold, joined UCLA Retirees Association, was the treasurer for 7 years, vice president, and I'm just concluding my term now. For those of you who are thinking about retirement, plan for your future. It is wonderful. You will be as fulfilled as you were working, but it's by choice. The things you do are by choice, not by assignment. And please get involved on campus. I was involved on campus through the AMG program. We started that so many years ago. And it's just being involved on campus is the best. You will reconnect with colleagues. You will be doing something purposeful. Sue, I'm sure will talk about the mentorship program that we have now. It's something to be so proud of, and you will just be so fulfilled.
That was perfect.
Okay.
Okay, Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue Abeles. I started at UCLA in 1969. I was an undergraduate student and I worked in food service in one of the residence halls, putting myself through college. And I ended up retiring in 2010 as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Corporate Financial Services and the Controller. I had a very interesting and diverse career. I did a lot of different things over that 40 plus years that I worked at UCLA. And I loved everything I did. I thought UCLA was one of the best places to work. And obviously I liked it enough to stay for that length of time. When I retired, my boss hadn't really come to terms with the fact that I was leaving, so he hadn't started recruiting anyone. So after I took my initial 30 days off that you have to take when you retire, I was brought back on recall status, first for the first 3 months to give my organization leadership because there hadn't been a replacement made for me, and also to participate in selecting that replacement. And then after that, I started working on a project basis for 3 years, working on the UC Path project, which was an interesting project, and I understand is still got some issues. Anyway, during that time, I became familiar with the UCLA Retirees Association, and I had friends that had joined the association, and they suggested that I get involved. And I was approached to become a board member. And so I ran for a member at large position and joined the board probably about 2012, I think. And I was a member at large for a couple of years, and then became vice president, president-elect, and then I was president for 3 years of the Retirees Association. And I have to say that it's a wonderful group of people, all of whom are really committed to staying engaged with the campus and with each other. We have a lot of great programs ranging from art, museum visits, art talks, hiking, all sorts of things. I mean, anything you could think of. And we have the ability to develop new interest groups based on individuals' requests. So, you know, if you're somebody who really likes to do handicrafts, for example, you could approach our interest group chair and develop a group that you could meet with and exchange ideas and learnings and that kind of thing. I think one of the best things about retirement is the opportunity to get your time back and really have the ability to pursue all of your interests, things that maybe you never really had time to pursue while you were working full time. I've taken up quilting. I'm now knitting and crocheting, which I hadn't done for years. I'm singing. I'm in a musical theater workshop, which is something I really enjoy. And all of those things are possible because I have the time now to do it. And the other thing that is really great is I've been able to really help my family out. I have a couple of grandchildren and a couple more on the way, and I'm really able to participate in their lives. And that's really an important thing for me too. One of the things that I really wanted to do as president of the association was to really stay connected to UCLA and get the Retirees Association to stay more connected. One of the things we developed was a mentorship program. And we have 11 people participating in the ACE program, which is run out of the College of Letters and Science. And I personally am mentoring 2 women who are staff in transportation services. So that's been really exciting. And I've really enjoyed doing that. And I think they've benefited from hearing about my career story and that kind of thing. The other program that we're involved in is the ProShare program, which is run out of AMG. And I think we have 6 people participating in that this year. So that's another opportunity when you're retired, is to get involved as a mentor to UCLA career staff. So again, there's just so much available. And I urge you, if you're thinking about retirement, to start looking into those opportunities and making a plan for how you're going to spend your time. I think the world is your oyster.
Thank you, Sue. And I will say, if there's any foreign topics that you hear throughout today's presentation, feel free to put it into the chat or the Q&A, and we will answer that. Sue mentioned something called recall, which is something a lot of people on campus do. You retire officially from campus, but if you're an institutional person, knowledge for your department could likely call you back for recall. And what this means is you're employed on a part-time basis for that department to do specialized project or tasks. So as Sue mentioned, she helped kind of do the hiring committee for her own role. And we have so many of our retirees that are still working on campus because they're coming back on a part-time basis through this recall process. You can find out more about this stuff on our website. And I will send some links after today's presentation, so you could learn more about the different options there are post-retirement. Last but not least, Al Aubin, who's probably on mute. Oh, good. Okay.
I'll follow up. I'm looking at, it's hard for me to believe that I retired in 2007. That's 16 years ago, because I was on recall for a number of years. But I started at UCLA in 1966, which is probably earlier than many of you were born. I started in the Graduate School of Education, which is now Information Studies also, but I started at School of Education, worked in high potential, AAP, student affairs for 40 plus years, either direct counseling, creating programs with colleagues throughout campus. I always say that I have 3 families. I have my biological family. I have my theater family, because I'm big theater goer and a member of the board of directors for East West Players, the oldest theater of color in the United States, and my UCLA family. And the reason I've stayed connected through the Retirees Association, I want to maintain contact with former colleagues, which I have done, have stayed in contact with people that I worked with many, many years ago. A benefit of participating, I did not realize that I would meet new people on the retirees board that had become close friends. I mean, it's amazing. Perhaps we share, well, the retirees board, all of us share our love and passion for the university and still contribute. My major interest was, of course, is staff assembly. As a past president, I still participate in CUCSA with the past presidents and past chairs. The Retirees Association just approved another 10 scholarships, which will make, I believe, 64 scholarships that retirees have given to staff assembly or to members of staff assembly. And it's really important to note that the money that is to go to contributing to the scholarships is from retirees. It is not from any, these are contributions. That shows the dedication of former staff members, retirees to the university, and the belief in professional development for current staff. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's one of the reasons I stay on the board. I chair a committee called Campus Community Relations, where we bring in speakers. I try to get people before anybody else gets them. I think we were the first organization to have Darnell Hunt. And I believe from the reaction that we get from the Vice Chancellor, they applaud the retirees for their continuous contributions. We contribute to the university, and the reason we do, I can't speak for all of them, but UCLA has given me a great deal. And one of the reasons I want to repay the university. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I see lots of questions in the Q&A. One that we get a lot of times is, when is a good month to retire? That depends on your personal situation and how much you love your job. But I will say it's more common for people to retire July 1st. This is a myriad of reasons. I think a lot of it may have to do with people get that merit increase in July. So, when you retire with your highest paid 3 years, a lot of people take that and they're able to retire in July. Also, they get a cost of living increase that is depending on the date and time of year that you retire. But we get retirees throughout the entire year. For faculty, they'll retire before a quarter, or some people just want to retire at the end of December. So there really is no right answer for that. Again, I will send you some information post workshop as to why people retire July 1st versus other times of year. But our office is busy throughout the entire year doing retiree paperwork, but the bulk of it does come from the summer. Let's see, let me go to the next slide. Thank you, all three of you, for your input and your comments about your choice to retire and staying involved. You do see a QR code on your screen where you can learn more about the Retirees Association. You do not have to be retired to join. I myself am a member. Well, I also work with them, but you can definitely join the Retirees Association at any time in your employment and join and participate in various activities on campus, on and off campus. So something that Al mentioned kind of was a great segue. Thank you, Al. And no shade against Wells Fargo, but when I tell people what we do for work, we are not Wells Fargo. When people retire at various companies, they take their pension or their 401k matching and they leave, never to go back. It's different when it comes to working at a college institution. We have lots of post-retirement engagement. And I saw this quote that Elaine said that was really just poignant and important for this topic today, is when you think about retirement, you plan, and then you hope you're prepared. Do you have a wrench thrown in the plans? Do you have a purpose post-retirement? And our department is, as I mentioned, the liaison and advocate for retired faculty and staff, because we want to make sure people are still dedicated and still committed to the campus. As many of you may know, your department colleagues and coworkers become friends. They become part of your family. A lot of the retirees I talk to have these many subgroups and text chats with their past colleagues, because it really does become something that's fun. It's something that they want to stay engaged with, and not based on just, oh, I'll see you at the office. No, let's plan a lunch date. Let's plan a hiking group. And it becomes something where your time at UCLA does not end once you retire. You have the option of course, taking your retirement pension and never talking to us again. Or if you're local and you want to stay engaged, you have the option to still be involved as much as you want. We even have subgroups of retirees in different countries, different cities throughout the world. So I kind of would compare us to the Alumni Association. You have as much involvement as you would like post your time at UCLA, whether it's alumni or staff. You can choose how much involvement you have post-retirement. And Al had mentioned this, and I think Elaine and Sue as well. There are so many people who have done 20 years of service, 30, and some gung-ho people have been here 40 plus years. And it really just boggles my mind how much dedication people have on campus. And I'm sure if you talk within your departments, there are people that have been here a really long time. I myself, and I think Diane said she's been here about 3 or 4 years. I am just pushing my 5-year mark. I have visions and goals of being here 30 plus years. Don't know if I could do 40, but it's a goal. And you can kind of see from the little charts that we have here, how the age of people that retire. Those who may have come to UCLA right at 18 or 19, because of the retirement plan, they can retire at 55. So we have a small percentage that do, but as you can see, the bulk of those who are retiring are between that 65 to 74 mark. We have lots of faculty that retire much later in life, but the retiree age is really when you feel comfortable, or if you have a medical necessity. There's no right time to think about retirement. And those who are within a UC, maybe not UCLA, or they go out towards Riverside, that are within about 10 miles of a UC campus, we have so many of our retirees that are still very local. We do understand the cost of living is not ideal in Los Angeles sometimes, but plenty of people reside somewhere near a university, whether it's our partner and our sister campuses at Santa Cruz or San Diego. There are lots of people that are still within a UC boundary. As I mentioned, we work a lot with our partners at the Retirees Association, and in conjunction with them, we plan programs and services and hiking club and mahjong and museum tours. We worked with an organization in Santa Monica to have a SoFi tour, museums, lunches, holiday parties, you name it. It's the world is your oyster. I think Sue said that. And that's part of the great thing about as an employee and working for the department, the Retiree Center, is we have this creative freedom. Any sort of program or idea that we want to come up with, we kind of have the idea, we have the free reign to do it. So that's really a bonus, and definitely talks about how we can keep the interest of you and all staff retirees mutually supportive for various activities that you want to do. It can be very confusing and a lot of information to take on when it comes to retirement. So we are your go-to liaison and campus support to kind of help guide you through that process. A lot of the information you have to get directly from your retirement counselor, but we can definitely help support some of the ancillary items that kind of go along with benefits, privileges, what you can and cannot park as far as your parking permit. And we're always your advocate. If you're having issues with your insurance or a parking permit or anything like that, we are in your corner, on your side to help you navigate what can sometimes be a lot of red tape. So I'll just leave it at that to be positive. So what is our mission? What is our impact? As you know, as members or as seeing what Staff Assembly does, the ERRC works in a similar aspect, just post-retirement. So I know Staff Assembly has something called CUCSA, and UC loves their nicknames. So CUCSA, if you're not familiar, is Staff Assemblies for all 10 campuses. We have, there's delegates from the 10 campuses, the libraries, Office of the President. We have something very, very similar called CUCRA, which all the retiree associations for all 10 campuses. So, you know, I think the kids are saying same. When it comes to Staff Assembly and then going straight to retiree, you have those resources, not only just on the UCLA campus, but all 10 campuses. There's 9 of the campuses and 3 of the libraries. A lot of our retirement centers and a lot of our retiree associations are various in sizes. As I mentioned, us alone have 18,000. Santa Barbara is much smaller, as well as Riverside. So there are options to keep being an advocate post staff into this retirement new lifestyle. As I mentioned, and I think Al mentioned as well, there's lots of ways to stay involved and make a difference. Sue mentioned the ACE program and mentoring program, but then there's also a financial component. If you look at click on the QR code on your screen, we do a system-wide survey every 3 years to see what our retirees are doing post-retirement, just to find out what's keeping them engaged, what they're doing with their life. And it's a lot. As you can see, a lot of our retirees are still volunteering. Some of them are still providing professional services. They become an independent contractor or a consultant with UCLA, or they're able to do some other sort of journal writing or website development. There's lots of ways to stay professionally engaged. And then there's also your second act, your encore career. A lot of them are working outside of UC. They may have taken their retirement here, but are doing something locally at their local school, church, or whatever institution they are. And as you can see, 10% return to come back to UCLA because they do have that option of being on recall. So in addition to that, many of our retirees are given awards, and they're recognized on higher level of impacts and things with the campus, that they're still being recognized post-retirement. And it really does show and make a difference that, as I mentioned, we're not Wells Fargo, our retirees are still being awarded post-retirement for all the various things that they are doing in their lives. I'm checking time too, good. So there, as I mentioned, there's a financial component. So our retirees donate a lot of their finances and time and energy. And you can see that here in the center screen. A lot of the donations that they do go towards student support, faculty support, and program and research. This is not a small number. So in 3 years, this is from 2018 to 2020, we took a survey and did some information from development to see how many of our retirees have given back of their hard-earned money to the campus. And $28.2 million is a very, very hefty number for our retirees to commit to, because as you know, when you're retired, you're in a fixed income. So it's really humbling, and it makes a difference with the scholarships that our retirees give to the campus, but it really does show that there's lots of things for you to contribute and stay involved with. A few links I have here are, or a few things on the left, is some of the things that our retirees have contributed to in the past. The crisis response team, I believe in 2020, right when the pandemic was exploding over the world, there was a donation there. We do a lot of things with the food closet and donating to get Ralph's grocery cards, student technology. The staff scholarships are one of the biggest things that the retirees do and are committed to doing every year. The campus mentorship there is as well at the bottom of your screen. And something that's kind of my baby is age friendly. So there are older students going back to school, older staff, older faculty, and one of my new initiatives is being more age friendly and being age inclusive, and what that looks like on a college campus. Things can't just be football and freshmen. There has to be some sort of conscious effort for the campus to think about older adults and older staff and older faculty, and how to be more inclusive of their needs and my needs when it comes to initiatives on campus. There's a couple other things that we've done in the past few years, working with UCLA Connections, multidisciplinary things. We've done things with the longevity school, STEML, the public, Luskin Public Health, and then with the intergenerational aspect, again, doing things with the extension. We've taught classes twice this past 2 years just about the aging landscape and how an aging adult is different. There's so many things in the media you see about anti-aging or covering up your gray hair, and it really should be a more age positive avenue of growing older in this country. A lot of things are always very negative when it comes to thinking about being older and retiring. We have so many people who come through our office who don't want their retirement to be publicized. They don't want to have anyone know that they're retiring. And it's really kind of their way of just making sure they have their retirement ducks in a row before they announce it to their department. So we are definitely here to kind of support you along the way for all of your retirement questions and things like that. Let me check the Q&A. I think we're okay. Okay, all done. So this is a lot. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of all things retiring. And I'm saying meat and potatoes because it's lunchtime and I haven't eaten lunch, but it's okay. So if you're thinking you're ready to retire, and even if you're not, as I mentioned, I've been here 5 years. I'm not ready to retire, but doing these workshops, I definitely have an idea of when I want to retire, the resources I need. There's resources being available to you year round. There's presentations, workshops, webinars like today. You can check out some Fidelity workshops at the first link here. And then every year we have retirement workshops in January and February, because we've kind of noticed that in December, people start thinking of retirement. Once they're home for their winter break, the idea comes up with, you know what? I think this is a year. So we start that planning process in January and February and support our retirees throughout the spring and summer so that they can make sure their paperwork's done on time. If they have more questions for their retirement counselor, we'll put them in touch with them. So it's definitely not something to take lighthearted. We really need to start planning the process as early as possible, or at least start thinking about it. Especially if you're vested after being 5 years, you really want to see what your options are and kind of have an idea as to where your career is going to be. Do you want to stay in your department? Do you want to switch departments? It's something you really need to think about and discuss openly with your supervisor if you're comfortable. As I mentioned, it could be, depending on your department, a very scary conversation to have with your supervisor, but we could always assist you with some of the technical aspects of retiring. As I mentioned, there are retirement counselors on campus. If there are folks here from the medical center, because the medical center has different nuances when it comes to retiring, our retirement counselors do not assist one-on-one with the medical center. But there is the retirement office in Oakland. And I say that because, you know, as a main campus staff person, you have the UC Path, you can run your retirement estimates, but it's a different system at the medical school. There are lots of people there that are contracted through the county or are funded by different grants. So they're not UC employees. But as I mentioned, there's more nuances with the medical center folks, but we can still be your resource to help get you started with the retirement process. So Camille Carr, Robert Lariva, those are the 2 retirement counselors on campus. There are ways that you can go right now to check what your retirement savings is. It's called UC Raise, Retirement at Your Service. You can go on the website, type in what year you want to retire, what age you want to be, and it'll spit out a number as to what that projection would look like. It's something to do maybe once every couple of years just to see where you are as far as your projected estimate is. But there are, you know, not every system is perfect. As Sue mentioned, the UC Path is still having issues, especially if you are or have been a temporary employee, or if you were a student employee. You should really check your years of services, because sometimes if you're a contracted employee, those years do not count. The time you spent as a student worker may not count towards your years of service. And if there is an issue, or there's a conflict with what you think your years of service are versus what's showing up, let us know and we can put you in touch with someone to make sure that they're reconciling, because you don't want to be surprised that you think you have 18 years of service, but 3 of those years were a temp employee and don't count. So really check your account, check it every 2 years, make sure it reflects your current role, your current salary, and your current years of service. There's also, you talk to Fidelity, as I mentioned, we work with Andrew Fung. He is our dedicated retirement planning and consultant for all things Fidelity. I've worked with him one-on-one to say, what do I do with my money? Tell me, this is all very foreign. I know we should be planning for retirement, but when you think about retirement, it seems so far away that a lot of us neglect our 403Bs and 401Ks and DCPs and all those other letters. But Andrew will sit with you either in person at our office or on Zoom, and he can go over your account, how much you maybe want to contribute, and kind of assist you with making sure your retirement account is where you want it to be when you retire. If you want to retire a millionaire, he can kind of help you, not what to invest, but he can definitely tell you if you want to diversify your account or be aggressive or be not aggressive. He will do all the money part of that. And then lastly, you want to find out if you have benefits from other employers. Lots of folks come from CalPERS or other public institutions, and that time can transfer to UCLA. If you've done other public service or you've done things at the county level or LAUSD, you really should see if your former employer has some sort of reconciliation with UCLA, because you don't want to lose out on those benefits that you might have from working somewhere else. So this is my information. It's my email's there. Because of the pandemic, there were so many things going on rapidly that the only way I knew to get things out without sending an email every 5 hours was to create a Twitter account. So we did the Twitter account. We still update it periodically. We have our website here. And because everything has been on Zoom for the past 3.5 years, we had started a YouTube channel. Never in my entire career would I think I'd be doing YouTube videos, but this will be on our YouTube channel as well. So you can always check out other programs and things that we've done on YouTube. We've had Medicare sessions. We've had organizing and declutter. We've had parking Q&A. We've had meetings with the athletic director, folks from HR, all over campus. And all those are archived on our YouTube channel so that people can kind of see what we've been working on for the past couple of years. As I mentioned, the campus contact, Camille Carr is the retirement counselors, and Robert Lariva. They are your go-to first stop when it comes to retirement, is to reach out to your retirement counselor, set up an appointment. That is their main job. When it came to campus retirement counselors, only 3 of the campuses have them. So please utilize Camille and Robert. It was very, very challenging the past 2 years to keep these positions on campus on a local level because everything else goes to Oakland. So if you have any questions about your own retirement or your own years of service, reach out to your retirement counselor, set up an appointment, and use them as much as you can, because they will be your guiding light for retirement planning. I mentioned RASC, which is the Retirement Administration Service Center. That is the overarching department in Oakland. It's at the Office of the President. They handle all the back end of medical insurance, pension payments, next of kin survivor payments. They do all the paperwork for retirement. Once you do the paperwork and you're ready to submit it, they will be the ones to do the back end information and make sure that your pension is correct, the numbers are correct, and that your payments are timely. Andrew Fung's stuff is there as well for his information from Fidelity. As I mentioned, I talk to Andrew maybe every 3 or 4 months just to see, hey, Andrew, how's the market doing? Should I be more aggressive? Should I be less aggressive? I don't want to be, in that recession bubble of 2009 where everyone's pension tanked. So utilize these resources. They are here to help you have a successful and financially smart and wise retirement. And then staying connected. This is what this whole workshop has been about, is staying connected. There is a New Dimensions newsletter that goes out quarterly. It's automatically sent from the Office of the President. Once you start collecting a pension, you will get a newsletter in the mail. To better understand your own retirement, there's a website called My UC Retirement. Check out this website, create a profile, check into it once a year to see how things are developing, see if you're financially where you're going to be post-retirement. Lots of things are in UCNet. So ucnet.universityofcalifornia.edu. This is the hub for all things retirement and recall and lump sum payouts and insurance and next of kin. Every single resource is housed on this UCNet resource website. And your local resources, myself, Lam, Maria, we are the ones that can help you kind of piece it all together. It's a lot of stuff that I mentioned today. It's a lot of moving pieces. And I mentioned we are here to help you kind of put it all together. Our website, we're building it up every single week to make sure it is more resourceful. So if people are getting lost trying to figure out one small answer, we can have a one-stop shop for you to help navigate this process. You have the retiree associations. You can talk to the retirees and find out their experience with retiring. We don't want this to be a scary thing, but there are people that you can talk to who have gone on medical leave or who are retiring after 6 years of service. There's various reasons for people to retire. Those who maybe have less than 40 years will have their own reasons. One of our retirees had to medically retire because just their situation with their department, they had no choice. So they took a medical retirement, and that happens. It really just depends on what's going on with you and your personal life and what the needs of your department. To keep you engaged and active with all things from our department, we have a newsletter. I promise we won't spam you. This is a bi-monthly newsletter. We try to have important activities, events, dates, tax information for those who are getting ready for tax season. As I mentioned, events and local resources. We share it with our other sister campuses. So it's really something where any information that I hear that is important, if there's a data breach, if there's something rumbling going on at the Office of the President, if there's a new dean in whatever school, I try to make sure we are keeping our finger on the pulse and get that information out to our retirees in a timely manner. So you can kind of learn more about what's going on at our department and how to stay involved and stay connected as well. Let's see. And then also staff assembly. I don't know, do you want to jump in, Guyan, with all the staff assembly information?
Thank you, Ayesha. So this page is Staff Assembly's social media accounts, our LinkedIn, our main website. A lot of the information that we have available, we made it on one page. If you're interested in volunteering, please sign up. It's the yellow QR code highlighted. And currently we are accepting nominations for the UCLA Staff Assembly Board for 2023-2024. So if you're interested in contributing your time, you want to make a difference and give back, we welcome you to assist us. And if you're not ready for a board position quite yet, and you can afford to spend a few hours and contribute through volunteer work, we would really appreciate it. And I am very grateful, Ayesha, to have the entire team come and talk to us about retirement and all of the resources that are available. So I really appreciate it. And I think now we can open it up and see if we have questions.
There are quite a bit of questions in the Q&A, so I will answer them as much as I can. A lot of these questions need to be answered by human resources because that's how UC works. I can only give you what my experience is and what I've seen other people do. So the first one is about keeping your medical insurance. So when you retire, depending on your years of service, you do have medical insurance. It's tiered. It's based on your years of service. The cost is also depending on where your pension is. But if you leave the country, you have to go in something called via benefits, where UC will give you a lump sum of money and you're on your own to go on the market and figure out what insurance you can afford with that lump sum of money. But again, it really depends on your years of service. I can follow this up with an email to everyone that's registered so you can see what the retirement estimator is. We do have people on campus called a healthcare facilitator that can answer these questions. They'll be able to tell you what the insurance is going to be once you retire, vision, medical, things like that. So I will say, yes, you can keep having insurance, but it won't be like the Health Net or the UCLA PPO. It'll be whatever country you're in or whatever state you're in that you purchase on the medical exchange. For the recall position, you do keep your pension. The 43% is the maximum that you can go without not forfeiting your pension, but becoming a regular employee, if that makes sense. So your recall might just be 2 days a week at 25%. It really is depending on what your department needs are. So the 43% is just a maximum number that mathematically and the powers that be have for you coming back to campus. But again, I will send you some information about recall and kind of how that works. We have lots of retirees that do freelance work. Photographer, yes, we always need photographers at our events. I think the communications and the daily Bruins do have people that are still writers. One of our retirees, Ann Palter, I think still writes for the UCLA newsroom, super part-time. I think most freelance writers are per article or per word. I'm not sure her relationship as to how much writing she does with the newsroom, but she's very involved with the UCLA newsroom post-retirement. So there are options. Again, depending on what's posted on the Career Center or what you can work out with your department, there's no shortage of jobs that are posted for UCLA. Okay, again, with the recall, it really depends on how much time on recall that you have, but you get your pension, you get your insurance, and then you're still working. So think of it as, I'm going to retire, I'm going to take my pension, but I want a part-time job at Target. As long as you're within a certain amount of finances or income, you can still get your retirement pension. But if you go above and beyond what the legal limit is for financially making income as a part-time employee, then it does trigger something with your pension being reduced or paused. I hope that makes sense. Again, I will send you more information on the recall. Let's see, any more questions? So age friendly, thank you so much. We are really, really focused this year on being more age friendly and what that looks like, especially on a campus. As I mentioned, there's older staff, there's older students, especially during the pandemic, so many people went back to school. So I really want the campus to focus on not just incoming freshmen, but how they can stay connected to an older population. And many people in your own department are working with various generations of people. So it's really important to understand the aging landscape and how different cohorts and different generations interact and work together. So I hope that wasn't too much talking on my end. But we can still take a couple more questions with the Q&A. I will stop screen sharing. It's 12:57, so I think that's a win for the time. Let's see, any other questions in the Q&A? I think that's it. Any other final comments from Sue or Elaine, Al?
Mine, two things: celebrate aging and stay engaged.
Nice. Sue? Oh, you're on mute.
I think Al has said it all.
Did.
Elaine?
He absolutely did. Staying engaged that's the key.
And I didn't intend on putting our staff on the spot, but perhaps Maria, you maybe could want to say something about your experience working at the Emeriti Center. Maybe a few words about your experience working with us and me. You're on mute.
Thank you, Ayesha. Yeah, I've been with the department for a very long time, and it's just one of the greatest places on campus, not just because Ayesha works there. How's that? No, but also because most of the people that we deal with are happy, and we've been told that we have a very nice climate in the office, and I think it's because the Retirees Association that we work with supports us, and we support them, and we all work together, and we're just a big happy family. So I love my job. I love all of the people here on this panel, and I just think that UCLA is very fortunate. We're very fortunate to be a part of UCLA, and I hope that all of the participants feel the same way. And please don't hesitate to contact us. And if we don't know the answers, we'll find out who does.
And
Thank you.
Lamb, do you want to? So Lamb is our newest employee. She's been here a little over a year. Came from UC Santa Cruz, correct? You're a banana slug by heart. Okay, you're on mute. So by trade, she's a banana slug.
Yeah, banana slug.
Any comments about your experience the past year?
My experience here the past year, I came from, just private business work, and then coming to a university. And it's true what everyone else has been saying. It's amazing to see the community here. It's you will never see this kind of engagement anywhere else. It's unique to UCLA, probably. I don't know if other UCs are like us, but everyone's very supportive, and we are very happy to be working for our retirees. And I'm I especially think that the Retirees Association is a very important organization, because they do this all voluntarily. They advocate for privileges on campus, library cards, discounted parking. It's amazing. And yeah, I can't wait until I get that discounted parking too.
I think we all can't wait till we get discounted parking. That's a whole nother, it's for another call. So as I mentioned, thank you all for sticking around with us. I don't think I've even mentioned our retiree association are volunteers. They don't need to still be with me all this time, but I really appreciate it. We have some of the probably 22 best people that work with our boards, and they really do help us in any way possible. If we ever need volunteers or we need support, or even myself as a newbie here, that kind of professional guidance, I'll shoot Sue an email asking her if something sounds correct, or maybe I could tweak a few words. Elaine and I have a connected relationship because we're both in the Valley. So I feel like we always do chat with each other about different nuances on campus. And Al and I, as a personal story that I will leave you all with, I met Al many, many moons ago when I had just graduated from USC, and my first job was at Belmont Village in Westwood. And I had met him at one of our events at Belmont Village. He was even more energetic and engaging then, and he's still very energetic and engaging. And I said, let's just stay in touch. We gave him my business card. We stayed in touch, and he has been such a great person to have and work with. And we recently hosted Dinner for 12 Strangers, which has been kind of gone for the past pandemic. And I told Al, this is the first time that we really did a program together. We celebrated our 12-year anniversary because I had worked with him 12 years ago as a Belmont Village employee, and here we are now 12 years later. And it really is a community, and it really is as much as you want to contribute and stay involved. But Al will always have a special place in my heart, and it's just so great to be able to work with you all in a professional level, and to see how your careers have shifted and changed and grown over the years. I'm in awe at some of the work that you've done, all of the work that you have done in your careers, and to see that you're still involved. I mean, I could imagine just, being able to take your retirement and do whatever you want, travel, be with your grandkids, but to spend your afternoon with us and your evenings and afternoons with our programs, we really are honored, and I couldn't ask for a better colleagues to go on this journey with myself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
We feel the same way.
I've really enjoyed being part of Staff Assembly and being an executive board member. And even though this is a very early start of my career, I'm very passionate about being involved in the UC system and giving back to UCLA. So seeing such growth and so much interest in our Learn at Lunch programming has been very rewarding for me. And I really appreciate all of you, all of the experiences that you've shared and all of the wisdom. And so I'm very grateful for that. And in light of our session being completed, I am going to end. Thank you so much. I hope that everyone who attended this Learn at Lunch enjoyed it, and that you're taking away something new and informative. Please stay in touch and volunteer, give back. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.